So this is another episode of XP Talks. Today we have with us Amir from Realm of Karitha, and we have of course Dima, our CTO, to join us for co-speaking and hosting the event. Amir, we are very much excited to host you here today, and we are looking forward to hear everything that you guys have been working on your project, on the game, on everything that you guys have built. I want to say first of all that the graphics and the design and the creative process that you guys put into this looks absolutely amazing. I have a lot to say about this, and we can actually dive into this as we get into the call. So without further ado, please, Amir, if you can give us about 60 seconds about your project and about yourself and the team.
Yeah, of course. So just to everyone that doesn't know me, the creator of Karitha, or Realm of Karitha. My background is really working with some small businesses. I used to do some CRM development or customer relationship management, and I utilize Zoho, which is just, one of the softwares, and some agency gigs. And Karitha at the moment is around our core values that we've just established, is about enabling creativity and creating memories. And essentially we moved from a very small vision of creating an MMO to moving towards creating products and platforms that allows us to build to the ultimate product while actually attracting revenue, attracting partners and collaborators.
Thank you for that. And for those who are, again, first joining us here today, and for those who will be listening after tuning in the recording itself that will be available on the website, can you give us a bit more of specific background on the project itself, like what is the game about, how does it work, and a bit of like discovery for the users that are joining in for us today?
Yeah, of course. So at the moment, we actually have a MVP where we've developed a core foundation of what a sandbox is. So users can actually play the game and utilize a multiplayer base of you can buy items in the game and place it on your land. Similar to, I believe there's some games like, I think it's like Minecraft, Roblox, possibly Sandbox, and they utilize the same type of concept where you're able to personalize the space. So currently we're developing a sandbox where users are able to create this new environment. They can invite friends, they can trade between each other. We want to create a very social game where users can play and just hang out, because I believe as we continue, especially after COVID, I think mental health and like not being alone is a very key aspect of where I see the gaming direction should be going. I think the old version of solo play and kind of just being alone is kind of being shifted away from that. I generally do feel that there's going to be more of a focus on being inclusive, just bringing people together. And I believe what we want to be able to do is create a space and create products and platforms that allows and enables that type of connection. So with the new version of Karitha, we're focusing on delivering those values in every aspect.
Got it. Thank you for that elaborative insight. And to my next question, I'd like to ask a bit more about, as I go through your website and looking at all the graphics that you guys have been putting all together. So this is a very beautiful graphics and very beautiful design that you guys put into it. So can you tell us a bit more about the creation and the whole creative process that you guys have been putting into the game itself?
Yeah, of course. So if the early investors would have known, we actually came with a vision of a top-down game. The graphics was very different to where it is now. But my perspective of hiring was always people with an indie background. My artist at the time was a biomed student doing his master's, but I knew he had a talent in art, and I brought him on. And as the year progressed, I noticed he was improving, and I realized I think top-down is a very old school. Let's bring it to isometric. And during this isometric, we explored different ways to be able to express the vision, the warm colors, the warm feelings of just like inviting people, because I'm a very big fan of indie development. So when we were designing the game, our ideas were really about how do we actually create product assets in the game that actually encourages users that this is a friendly and social game. So we had a lot of different discussions around there. In the sense of a process that we just did sketches and like really went based on our values of what we want to encapsulate, because we didn't really want something that's more systematic when we're still a startup trying to build the team up, because we needed to find a something like an overlap between our vision and the artist because he was still growing. And then the game progressed to a point where it is now, as you can see, this art style is very, very warm, very inviting, and it really brings out the vision of trying to bring people together. And I wanted to really emphasize that because that is the core foundation of what we're trying to build. We're not trying to build this very competitive game. We actually want to build a game where people can just enjoy themselves. Because there's growing up, I played a lot of games, and I think one of the core games I remember are all the games where I actually was able to meet new people in a very normal context, not in a competitive context. So if people are familiar with World of Warcraft, I was a mythic raider, and doing that type of stuff is like very competitive. So World of Warcraft has like these raids where you have these big bosses, and like you have these teams that are trying to mid max or trying to maximize their damage, maximize their heals, and it was really stressful. And I realized those memories aren't as great as the memories I have when I actually made friends, made just these connections that weren't possible. And I think games moved away from that. So the art style really focuses on just the warm feeling and trying to bring people together. And I think the way that we wanted to showcase that was with an isometric fill where it's not like a top down, more of a bird's eye view where it kind of feels a bit cold. So I think this isometric fill kind of encapsulate everything that we're trying to build.
Thank you for that. That's a great insight. And in terms of, did you guys do it, design it yourself, or did you guys work with an external studio? How did that process actually go for?
Yeah, so actually, our entire project was with a very small team, actually. So we had the game developer and a artist. We did throughout the year, we hired a lot of different artists to help really see if they could speed up the development. But we realized we need to build because I'm more a leader when it comes to my team, and I want them to build their skill sets. So because they're indie artists and developers, I knew in the long term, depending on how they go, at least I know the time spent with us is building their skills. So we didn't really want to work with agencies because we knew at the start that we want a game that really showcases our love for it. So one of the aspects or a game that we really enjoy the story of is a game called Stardew Valley. And if people are familiar with that game, that was a one-person development team. And I think, if I recall correctly, and this is why my game was really developed by the same person, same artist, just so we can actually make sure everything was the same. And I think if we had to work with like an external agency, I think it'd be really more systematic and it really loses the value of what we're trying to build.
Thank you for that. That's a great answer, great insight. So the reason that I'm asking those questions, deeply to connect into the whole process you guys have been building is because one of the biggest trends that we see right now in the market, and one of the main topics that we usually talk about in every talk that we have and every call that we run, is the fact that we are in an era that NFTs are no longer just like hyped pictures or blue chips NFTs and all of those creative process that actually been put into a lot of art basically that has no real, I would say real utility or value behind it. While it is some speculative value, but this is more of the same of what we know of the crypto market. So what we have right now is that we see all of those amazing projects, just like yourselves, and especially in the gaming industry of NFTs, that is really giving some, I would say, a new angle to what the crypto market can become. And this is maybe one of the most important topics that we see ourselves talking about is utility first over crypto, right? So this is the thing that drives us and drives a lot of the projects that we are working with, and putting those graphics and putting those gameplays mechanics and making it super easy for users to interact with the project, with the game, with the utility, is what makes it less about crypto and more about the fun activity, right? And eventually, as we see it, this is the biggest driver for mainstream of the crypto market. And coming down to my question, I would really like to ask, how you guys are approaching to the off crypto community. Are you trying to onboard community that are not only oriented and educated with the crypto space?
Yeah, of course. So I think there was a influencer or I guess a intellectual on the Multiverse X community, and he mentioned how founders have to move away from this idea where you can create NFTs. And so he's like Lucas. And one of the perspectives he had was that a lot of projects were kind of lucky in the sense of they launched NFT projects, made some money, and had these visions that didn't really make sense. And it made me really look back on Karitha and realize we were kind of trying a lot of different things and seeing what worked. And now that we're reached a point where we need to re-see ourselves with a business model that actually brings more of the off crypto community, but not just gamers and users, but actually partners and collaborators. Because currently with the NFT market, as you said brilliantly, is that we're getting really moving away from profile pictures and kind of pointless directions. Like as much as I love profile picture NFTs, I think it's actually very old school, like as in old school for a very fast space. Because right now, one of my favorite projects I've been watching is Pudgy Penguins. I'm not sure if people are familiar, but essentially they did start with a profile picture NFT, but they actually have these now merchandise. They've been in Comic Con. Their Instagram socials are really doing well. They have like millions of reach because they know how to do that hack, you know, the engagement hack with Instagram. So I think what they're doing is a great example of how to attract the off crypto community, because I can assure you if people realize these were NFTs, they might be a bit more hesitant to like, because there's still the hesitance towards like, you know, they see crypto as like a Ponzi or like just to make money. And I think right now projects in this space need to be able to bring more people, both as users, but as actual partners and collaborators. Because for projects to really succeed, they need these new revenue streams where they can bring sustainable money and not rely on royalties or crowdfunding, because that's a very old version of how the space moves. And you need a business with actual utility. So with Karitha, I've been spending a lot more time during this bear market trying to focus on how we can reshape the vision of how to target the off crypto community. Because we're a gaming project, we need to figure out what type of work can we do. So usually some tech companies, they have some services or some source code that they've developed, whether it's security, but they can actually bring that forward to actually businesses. So that way we can use what we've already built and actually benefit from that. And I think the way that we want to actually attract the off crypto community is to build products for like our collaborators and partners that actually they don't really see as an NFT project, but they see it as, all right, this utility is actually what we need. Let's actually implement it, because Web3 isn't just about, you know, NFTs and cryptocurrencies. It's actually more of the integration with the blockchain, the decentralization. So we want to actually focus on ways we can bring the off crypto community into the Web3 space through services indirectly.
Got it. And that's absolutely great and agreeable. So when we built XP Network, we started back in 2021. We had this notion of idea that NFTs are going to become more than just a specific type of use case. And again, this from our perspective, and we see it right now, actually getting materialized altogether, that NFTs are driving people from all ranges, all ages, and all kinds of, I would say, interest in the market. And it's not, and the beautiful thing, it's not a direct interest, it's actually a byproduct interest, right? So people, just like you said, are interested in not in the crypto side, because this is creating some, I would say, some fear of what is it and how does it work, and is it real, is it scam, is it, you know, all of this stuff. But when you put it in a very simple way, people just come to interact with the game or with the application or with any kind of utilities that are bringing on. The beautiful thing is that NFTs are super visual and super easy to interact with. And that was our bet on the market back in 2021. And I can say that one of the biggest changes that we see right now is that people are no longer asking, you know, like I would say, how should I connect to this? What is the wallet? What are all of those things? People are maybe solely focusing, I would say, on how does it work and what's the new thing it brings to the market. So it's not just a speculative market anymore. And this is the cool thing, especially with projects just like yourselves.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, so following up to the next question, to the next topic of conversation, which is also very close to our heart and really piquing my interest regarding to you guys as well, is multi-chain. And when we made XP Network, by now connected to 35 mainnet chains. and moving up NFTs from all EVM, non-EVM blockchains alike. So from your perspective, when you built the project and when you designed it all together, what did you have in mind in terms of multi-chain? Do you see it as a crucial thing for your users to actually be able to interact from different chains? Or do you focus mainly on Elrond, and which it's Multiverse X by now, so that's basically the question, right? So are you guys focusing in your mind since very day one about going multi-chain, or are you guys good where you at?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And fortunately, during the first foundation of Karitha, I've been around crypto for a while and I've learned the principles of not just marrying one coin. So during the initial bull run, I was actually a fan of XRP because, they had the Ripple, one of the protocols about transferring money. And then it made me realize and open my eyes to, okay, actually, there's a lot of different use cases. And it's not just about having one blockchain or one version of like decentralization or transferring of coins. So when I created Karitha, I knew I needed a way to have a multi-chain solution of how can I bring more people together and more users in a way that actually doesn't include friction. So when I was looking into projects of how they actually do that, they actually do launch maybe multiple coins, multiple NFTs on different chains. And I needed more of a solution that allowed us to move chains in a very seamless way. So when I was doing some research of bridges, there's actually a few bridges, but the teams really weren't doxed or they were just in the development. So when I found, on top of XP Network moving into Multiverse X, we still had to do our due diligence to figure out, okay, what is the draws, like what is the benefits of working with you guys? And when I found out, okay, you guys, there's personalities, there's people, not only that, you guys are very open, very nice to your community. And after speaking to you guys for a while, I realized, okay, this is a very good team, very passionate. So I'm like, okay, now that I found a team to be able to deliver our multi-chain future, how can I utilize what we've already built a Multiverse X with a new chain? And because, one of the draws to a very small chain, even though it's in the growing process, I care more about Multiverse X based on how it's developed. I mean, the protocol, the low tax fees, the easy onboarding with the Mayor app, or I guess X portal, and how can I use that in a way that still lets people on different chains benefit from that, but they can actually still go back to their own chain. And one of the key reasons why I think XP Network is great is because it's not just burning NFTs, it's actually putting in an escrow where, okay, if that user wants to go back on Multiverse X because, it costs too much money or there's more of a market on this market. So that means, okay, this means it's a seamless transfer between the two chains. So it was actually much easier for us to be comfortable with a team that we can trust and a team that actually understands the security around NFT transfers and not just, let's move the NFT to a different chain. You guys have a vision, you guys keep bringing new chains on, and it makes me very confident. Okay, well, as a multi-chain project, we want to be on many chains because one of the visions of my game is that, okay, well, for me to move on to other chains, I need to look for grants. I need to look for incentives to allow us to build on a new chain and actually allow us to continue with the funding, continue with the development, because we need a team that was able to fulfill that because we can't just stay on one or two chains. We actually want to be very diverse. We need to bring more people on because one of the solutions that I see personally is creating like similar to an exchange. You have all these different wallets, but I want the wallets to be integrated by the user. And then once they've integrated with the user, they're able to decide, okay, it's on Elrond because we want to mint all new NFTs on very low tax fees and low minting costs. But they can then move it on different chains because, of course, there's more money or more of a market on different chains. And we want to make sure our community benefits from that the most.
Thank you for that, and that is a very great approach from our perspective. I would say that connecting up to XP Network, and thank you for the good words. Connecting up to XP Network has been made so simple at this point that it's basically just like a plug and play and given immediate access to all of the main chains that are connected. All products are live and connected and working seamlessly at this point. And we are always optimizing and improving performance. So it's not just about adding chains, it's also about making it super easy, fast, and smooth experience to move the NFTs. And our vision for the company and for the project and for the technology itself is to get it to the point that it's so seamless that users who are coming to play your game, right? So coming to Karitha to actually come and interact with the game itself, they are in any way not, I would say, prompted into having a connection to the wallet, connection to an NFT, or to an NFT, I would say, kind of, crypto interaction. They are completely it's a completely seamless interaction, right? So they are not handling in any way in the crypto side, and this is done in a great way by the vision of our technology execution, that we put everything on the API. So that means that bottom line, users are actually able to come in and just say log in and connect whatever wallet they've got, right? So those who are having some sort of wallet, coming over and connect some wallet they've got, it doesn't matter what chain is it from, and they grant immediate access to the game. They don't have to actually go around and find, let's get the right tokens, let's get the right wallet, so I would say, if breaking it down to a few steps, the very first step for us to see the mainstream market materializing is to not talk about crypto at all when projects are building up, just like yourself, right? So first of all, get the user interest and the actual fun around it. And then, those who are already interacting with the crypto side, make it as simple and as smooth as possible. This is where XP Network is coming to the play. And this is our mission. So this is what we are bringing to the table. And with that note, thank you for those discussions on those topics. I'd like to move on to a couple of more questions regarding to where you guys at. So my next question is regarding to roadmap. What can we expect from you guys in the next year, and what the community should expect to actually see coming from you?
All right, great. I definitely agreed. I really do like the way XP Network approaches their confidence. But in terms of Caritha's roadmap, so one thing I've learned is that we can no longer just be very visionary and just have all these plans but have no really actions to it. So that's one of the mistakes I made during the foundation of the building of the bull market, the hype of, let's create as many decentralized assets to allow people to own parts of Caritha. But in doing so, we kind of diluted the market, which isn't good for our investors, isn't good for our holders, because it confuses people. So right now, personally, as I don't have game development, like tech skills or website development, tech skills, but I'm more of an operational, more of an understanding of the business side. But I initially thought, okay, you don't necessarily have to focus on that at the moment. But now we're hit with reality. We're hit with the fact that the NFT market is in a good space, trying to rely on the crowdfunding of NFTs and all of that old school versions of how people used to build up their project is no longer a very viable option. So at the moment, I'm in a position of consolidation and refinement, trying to really build what Caritha should be and something that should have been done at the start. But, getting carried away with, from the profits I've made from in the past from crypto, some trading, I used my initial investment, invested into the project, built it up. And now we're moving towards, okay, now we have this vision. Let's consolidate it. Let's bring our NFTs together into something more smaller, more concise. It brings the right utility, brings the right value. It helps bring people together. We also have my tech CTO. He's an Ethereum builder. He's built, I'm not sure if people are familiar, but he's built the XRP name service. He's one of the developers behind that. And another project that he's been building, which is an AI image aggregator. So he's very good in what he does, but he's a Solidity fan, every EVM. So right now I'm focusing on the website revamp, some funding sales in the future, some game videos that we've already established to allow, new investors to kind of show interest in the project. But one of the feedback I got was, okay, we're kind of focusing on everything. So that means, okay, we need to go back to the drawing board and figure out what can we do in a way that allows people to get confidence, but at the same time want to be a part of a community that has been around. Because we don't want to just cut everything off and just go in one direction, because that's not right. You know, people join the project because of a reason. So we need to look at everything in a way that allows people to still believe in our vision and still see where we want to go. So when we bring up like new features, like for example, we have some new soundtracks that we want to release. We want to actually introduce the bridge very soon, and you know, some free mints for exposure on Ethereum. But right now, as more of the business side, I think that's more important at the moment, because a lot of projects, especially at the moment on Ethereum, they've just profile pictures, and some people, there's a lot of controversy at the moment with mints and all of this. And I think what they're missing is a business model that allows them to attract investors and I guess more users and buyers from a different perspective. So right now, we really want to focus on bringing more people into the project, but not just Web3 people. Because one of the, like something I read was, if you're building a game for Web3, how do you expect to attract Web2? Because people in Web3, they don't necessarily want to play a game. They actually want to just make money. So to understand that truly is, okay, well then how do we build something for Web 2 without even thinking about the Web 3 aspect besides the seamless integration, without that pay to win, without that let's grind to make some money? Because what's really important for us in our roadmap is, okay, we want to make sure we get the core values in every product we build, every platform we build, and allows us to showcase that to our investors. Because we have brought some of our projects or pitch decks to some investors and always been told, you know, you guys need to bring it together. You guys need to consolidate. You need to have a clearer vision, a clearer mission, and you need the action plan to follow through. So I think like most projects at the moment really do need to focus on how can they consolidate their project in a very attractive way, because I think we're moving away from the Web3 hype to more of a Web2, Web3 merge, where you have to have a vision, an action plan, an actual business plan in a sense of how are we going to generate revenue both during the bull market and during the bear market. And that's something we didn't consider. You know, as much as I would like to say we had the risk management, we thought we did, but at the end of the day, we were hit with reality. You know, a lot of projects are hit with reality. And someone with resilience, I want to make sure Karitha is not just going to die out. It needs to continue its vision. It needs to continue being this project people look forward to. Of course, the timeline has been pushed back a little bit, but I believe, you know, in the immediate future, people can expect how we're going to show a lot of consolidation, how we bring a project together that we've had like 5 or 6 collections because I wanted to decentralize. So I'm like, okay, how can we bring that to maybe 1 or 2? Because when we allow a bridge, we want to actually ensure that everything that we can bridge over is kind of consolidated, brings the utility to both chains.
That's absolutely great. Thank you for that. And this is something, you know, both to look up for and that we are very much excited to see, to hear from you guys. And before I actually want to give some time for Dima to also talk about the integration between Realm of Karitha and XP.NETWORK and tell us about how is it all going to come down and actually work. A couple of more questions that I'd like to cover is, first of all, from your insight, your experience, also from your CTO experience that you mentioned, which worked on XRP and all of this era, basically. So how do you guys see the NFT market in your eyes, actually from where we are right now and where does it go in the next few years?
Yeah, so it's amazing because, you know, during the start of the year, we would have thought that most projects are going to continue to succeed if they have these nice profile pictures with no utility. And despite a lot of people falling into that trap, they didn't realize, okay, sure, they can build utility, they could have these staking platforms, but what happens after 3 months? So I used to get asked a lot about these new, very hyped projects. I'm like, okay, look, just give them 3 months, and I have a feeling they're either going to lose their hype or their project's going to disappear. And honestly, that had an 80 to 90% like truth to it because they eventually did disappear. Because I'm starting to see how the NFT market really reacts to something long term, because people want to make money in the Web3 space. You know, they don't care what you do. So they need to understand that Web3 isn't just about profile pictures. It's about utilizing a new form of blockchain, new databases, of bringing a seamless transaction where you can actually utilize an NFT in not just the Web2 space, but actually also bring some Web3 aspects to it. So one of the projects I think at the moment on on Multiverse X is on-chain smokers. They initially onboarded people in Web 2, and then trying to build some more of a Web 3 aspect in the sense of, the community. And I believe they're working on other aspects of how they can benefit. And I think this is a very interesting perspective because it means the current NFT market needs to make a shift where your NFTs don't just bring you profile pictures, it actually brings you also some Web 2 benefits. Because right now, these profile pictures, people's perspectives have shifted. We're no longer just saying, let's change our profile picture on Twitter. We actually have to, how do we bring people in a way that actually makes them want to join? Because it really is all about the future vision for a lot of people, because it creates FOMO, it creates that sense of needing to buy something and then selling it. And I think with Karitha, we really wanted to adapt that type of form because the NFT market is going to keep going and keep maturing. And I think we saw that with the Ether launch. I'm not sure if people are familiar. They didn't even sell out, even though they kind of had some great art, which is subjective to a lot of people, but they didn't really sell out. And then we had Azuki Elementals. All they did was kind of have the same type of art style and diluted their own market. People lost faith in them. And I believe the DeGods controversy at the moment with Frank, I think we're starting to realize the market's maturing. They don't want to just buy into a project and hope it sells. They actually want to buy into a project with actually an understanding of how the market moves in the long term. Because right now, the future state of the NFT market is going to actually be, how do we actually utilize NFTs and the blockchain? Because beforehand, the NFT market, is kind of just like art. But now we're moving into utility. And I'm sure there was a lot of people here during the start of crypto. A lot of these crypto projects were kind of similar. In the way of meme coins, they didn't really have any purpose. But I think they eventually evolved. They eventually turned into, okay, well, you have the governance, then you have these ideas of how these coins will actually benefit the network. And that's how I see the NFT market. I think the NFT market is going to mature the same way of cryptocurrency projects, where the cryptocurrency projects turned into utility, turned into a way to actually benefit the system and benefit the protocol. So I think the NFT market is going to do the same. They're going to have that complementary aspect to Web 2 and Web 3 in a way that allows users to actually play a part to the bigger idea. They don't want to just be in a system where they just have a profile picture anymore. I sincerely believe that we're going to really find ways to how people attract new investors through a way of their own services or products.
Totally agree, and thank you for that perspective. Now, I'd like to move on to Dima to talk more about the integration between both Karitha and XP.NETWORK. So Dima, the stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you for that. As far as I know, that your guys are planning to move to some EVM chains from Multiverse X, which is a great idea, and that's exactly what we can help you with. So I also see that your collections, for example, I found one of the collections, which is called the Rockland, and I looked at the metadata, actually already cross-chain ready. In terms of, we actually for like half a year have been discussing with many communities what to do with rarity, because many collections, they don't have information about a token rarity in metadata, but it's calculated dynamically by a marketplace where that collection is listed, which is not a great way for cross-chain NFTs, because what happens when you bridge, let's say, several NFTs from a huge collection, then all your dynamic rarity calculations break, right? Because dynamically, what a marketplace does of all the NFTs, calculates some statistics and assumes that this NFT is rare and this NFT is not rare or less rare. Right. Well, in your case, you guys are smart. So I said that we've been discussing with many communities on multiple events that rarity is a problematic feature when bridging collections. So what I noticed in your collections, that you have a special section in the metadata called rarity, and you have average rarity, statistical rarity, and rarity score, which is amazing because your metadata bridging, meaning when other NFTs usually don't have the entire collection on one foreign chain, but you only have a sample. Yeah, right. So what I wanted to say is that did you come up with the idea of adding rarity to your metadata yourselves, or somebody suggested you doing that? Because we've been discussing for like half a year what to do with rarity when you only bridge a sample of a collection, and the marketplace tries to decide whether this NFT is rare or not. But in your case, you already have this information in the attributes, which is the perfect solution to this. So how did you come up with this idea to add it to your metadata? Very, very few collections do that.
Yeah, so with the land sale, actually, I was very fortunate to work with Bobbit or Skullelf. I believe he's inside the Twitter space at the moment. He suggested how we should be doing the metadata, and he provided some insights to it. So I think really it's having someone who understands how to utilize, the generative side and how to actually correct how the metadata works, because I listened to his advice once it was generated, and he provided me insights of, okay, actually, you need to fix some things because this isn't actually, the proper way to do it, because different NFT markets are going to weight it differently. So it was me asking some advice from Bobbit or Skullelf, and it really helped us really make the land collection work in that aspect.
Yes, you did absolutely correct. And when your NFTs, at least from this collection, which is called Rockland, when they will be bridged to other chains, the rarity will be always accurate, unlike many other collections. And we were even thinking about creating a new standard of cross-chain NFTs and rarity, which would be calculated on the original chain when you have the entire population of the NFTs, not just the sample. So it's great that you already have it, guys, and your colleagues are very shrewd, very, very good for them. So where are you guys going to bridge? What are your next plans?
So at the moment, our main point of the next direction of Karitha is, okay, Ethereum has a lot of marketplaces and a lot of attention there. I understand at the moment Multiverse X is a bit hesitant using higher chain costs or higher gas fees, but I believe for Karitha to have that exposure, we need to have something on Ethereum. Of course, there's some layer twos, and I've been speaking to you guys for a long time. And I understand that you guys have some more plans. You guys are seeing, I think it's called Immutable X and other layer twos that we want to explore, because they have some grants for games and I think because, you have this very long-term vision of bringing more chains, it really opens us into, okay, well, if we go with one chain, we can also discuss how the other collections, how we want to utilize the different blockchains. So at the moment it's Ethereum, but we're very happy to work with you guys when you don't have a short-term vision. It's okay, this is the one chain and it's one chain only. Because you guys are very multi-chain and very bridged to almost everything, it allows us to actually consider almost everything.
Right. Well, what I would suggest to you is first maybe look at the community, at the ecosystem of the chain you're planning to go to. That would be the decisive factor of your success or lack of such. I think less important are the fees, unless you want to do the games on chain, unless almost every step has to be registered on the blockchain, then fees are less important. Look at the community. If there is a huge community, if they're active, and if they engage, that's more important than the fees. And on Ethereum, from our experience, from what we saw from other projects, Ethereum after Bitcoin, but that it's so hard to stand out.
Amir, actually, we're getting close to the 1 hour mark, and because the connection is so bad, unfortunately, I'd like to get this wrapped up with a couple of last questions. The final question I would say that is, I'm very eager to actually ask up is how you guys compare yourselves to competitors in the market of the NFT gaming. So how do you see yourself different?
Yeah, so it's actually great that you've asked that question, because we've been really looking into some Web 2 competitors and Web 3 games. At the moment for the Web 2, the ones that I personally see as competitors is a game called Roblox. The reason for Roblox is because they've really captured the mobile market. They used to, if I'm not mistaken, they used to just be a web-based game, but now they've captured, like, I believe, like 71 or 80% of their game is on mobile. And they have that type of metaverse aspect before Web3. Another game that I've looked at is Habbo. So Habbo Hotel is the social aspect. It doesn't really have anything, but the community comes up with the ideas. And then with Web3, I've been looking at, Sandbox and Hytopia. And I was thinking, okay, well, Karitha is very similar to these projects. What can we do differently? And that's when I thought, okay, well, we're developing products in a way that allows us to bring our community, well, our partners and collaborators in our ecosystem, because we want to create some SDKs that allow our community, well, allow our partners to develop key features of their businesses or key features of what they define their brand within our metaverse very seamlessly. Because we're about bringing more people together and more people into the project in a way that it allows them to feel like it's a family. Because we don't want to just build by ourselves. We want to build with our community. We want to actually bring partners and bring collaborators in a way that's not just about transactions, about money. It's about building communities and making sure people can join. And I think when we talk about that, it brings the next point of competitive advantage, in my opinion, is that we're a hybrid focus. We're thinking of ways to onboard Web 2, not just Web 3, because Web 2 is a completely different demographic, Web 2 is about playing games that are fun, not games to make money. Even though, you have these black markets in certain games, most of the games people play for fun. And now we have to consider, okay, well, how do we bring these two in a way that allows people in Web 2 to have fun, as well as bring people in Web 3 they can benefit from? Because I'll be honest, I don't think many Web 3 gamers are going to really play the game to have fun, but they're going to find ways to monetize themselves because they're about making money. But the Web 2 gamers, okay, how do they actually enjoy the game without pay to win? So we're finding like that perfect like middle ground between the two spaces in a way that allows people to benefit from multiple aspects, multiple different angles. So I'm thinking, well, I've decided with the hybrid focus is allowing people to have the choice. You don't have to do it, but you have the choice to mint assets from your game, to buy, to bring more, to buy assets within the ecosystem. Just like how many games have a big marketplace, we want to have our own marketplace. We want the items that people create, the items that they do, it allows them to, okay, well, I actually want that item. I want to buy it with my tokens, and then they bring it into the game. It's not about, I'm going to sell this to make money, but it's allow that transactions between people who want that item in the game versus the people who are just trying to sell it.
Thank you for that, Amir. And for the last question, where can the community can actually start following Realm of Karitha, and what is the best place to actually get all the recent updates from you guys?
Yeah. So at the moment, you can follow us on Twitter. So KARITHAIO, or follow us, subscribe to our Medium. So our Medium is definitely the place where we post all our new updates, all the new features. Because sometimes Twitter you might not get the notifications. The reach isn't that good at the moment if you're not subscribed to Twitter Blue or X Blue or X Premium. I forgot the name that it's changed to. So if you're looking to learn more about the project, you can go to our Twitter space. You can even click on my name and find the link from there. But most importantly, definitely subscribe to our Medium. You'll be able to stay up to date, maybe turn on notifications, and you'll find out all the information you need.
Amir, thank you for that, and apologize for the connection issue we had previously. And thank you for being part of this another episode of XP Talks. I appreciate your time. I appreciate for coming here and giving us all amazing insights regarding to your project, regarding to the NFT market. I'm looking forward keenly to do this again. And if you have any further notes or last notes to the community, now is the time. And for those who are listening to us right now, this recording would also be available on XP.NETWORK website and on all the social media of XP.NETWORK, and also on of Realm of Karitha. So thank you everyone for participating. And Amir, if you don't have any other points for today, then we will wrap this up.
Yeah, I just wanted to really say thank you to a lot of our very old supporters. I see a lot of people that I've really been close to over the years come into this space and really just always support us, and I really always appreciate it because it shows that my community still really believes in us, and it's really just great having them here. So thank you to you guys, as well as all the new people that's coming to listen. I just want to share my love for you all. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Amir. Thank you, Amir. Thank you, Dima. And we'll see you on the next one.